Saint Euphemia the Great Martyr. The many saints of our Orthodox faith all have one thing in common. They lived their lives according to God's will and the teachings of the Church. The good God allows some saints to express their love for the true faith even after they fall asleep, as when miraculous events occur through holy relics. God does this to help His children in the difficult times and also to strengthen Christians in the authentic faith of the Fathers. One such miracle involved the relics of the great Saint Euphemia. Saint Euphemia lived in the 3rd century after Christ in Chalcedon, a city near Constantinople. From a young age she loved Christ with all her soul and struggled in order to obey His holy will. All the time, the governor of Chalcedon was a savage man named Priscus. As a way to persecute Christians, he decreed that all citizens must make sacrifices to the false god Ares. Euphemia, along with many other Christians, refused to do this despite the governor's promises and threats. Because of this, the Christians were promptly arrested and Priscus ordered that they all be rashly tortured. But the Lord protected Euphemia, giving her strength to endure her suffering and maintain her faith. Outraged at this, Priscus ordered that she be taken to the arena and thrown to the beasts. However, neither the hungry lions nor the bears bothered her. Instead, though, the ferocious animals approached her like little lambs and licked her feet. The worst thing that happened was a slight nibble that Euphemia received from a bear, though even this did not leave a wound. Seeing Euphemia's patience and faith, God chose to give her rest from the sorrows of this world. As the saint was surrounded by the now tamed animals, a heavenly voice was heard all throughout the arena, calling the young martyr to enjoy the eternal goods she had so longed for. At this, Euphemia's soul departed for paradise. It was September 16, 303 AD. The faithful Christians recovered the saint's holy relics and deposited them with great honor in a special reliquary for the people to venerate. Furthermore, God blessed the relics so they remained incorrupt. Her body looked as fresh after death as when she was alive and not decaying, as normally happens. Miracles and healings were prompted daily for those who went to venerate the relics and ask for the saint's intercession. Many years passed. The pagan emperors faded away and were replaced by Saint Constantine the Great and other Christian emperors. The faithful were now free of worship the true God, and piety spread throughout the empire. This joy, however, did not last long. Heretics soon appeared who distorted the teaching of our Lord and misled the faithful, presenting false ideas about the true nature of Christ and the beliefs of the Church. The leader of one group of heretics called Monophysites was a monk named Eutychus. He claimed that Christ, when he was born of the Panaia, was only God and not man. The Orthodox priests and bishops tried in vain to convince him and his followers that Christ was born both God and man, but he continued to teach his heretical ideas and gather even more followers. One of them, Patriarch Dioscorus of Alexandria, was responsible for protecting the heretic and furthering the spread of his false teachings concerning the person of our Lord. This disturbance lasted 40 whole years, until the Holy Emperor Marcian and the Empress Pulcheria ascended the throne of the empire. The new royals, after consulting with the Orthodox patriarchs of both Old and New Rome, sent letters to all the bishops and invited them to a synod to be held in the church of Saint Euphemia in Chalcedon, where her holy relics were located. The bishop responded very positively to the emperor's invitation, and when the synod finally commenced, 630 fathers participated from all parts of the empire. The great meeting would go down in history as the Fourth Ecumenical Council. In it, our Holy Fathers formulated the correct faith of the Church and anathematized Eutychus and Dioscorus and those who followed them. However, the heretics chose not to follow the decisions of the synod, but insisted on the correctness of their blasphemous ideas. The Fathers, supposing that the only way to resolve this problem would be through God's help, called them and said, "As your brothers, we want to instruct you and save you from your error. But because your egoism is such that it does not allow you to be convinced by our words, let us at least take refuge in the judgment of God. Then, if you are honest, you would return to the truth. But if you remain in heresy, you will have no excuse but your wicked pride." "And how will we determine the divine will?" the heretics asked. "It will not be difficult," the Father said. "Here, in the church where we are gathered, are the holy relics of Saint Euphemia. Let us write what we believe to be true in one book, and you write what you believe in another, and we will let the saint decide which of the teachings is correct." The Monophysites accepted the proposal and filled a large book with their theories. The Orthodox in return wrote the faith of the Church in another book. The next day the bishops opened the saint's reliquary and, with great respect, placed both books on the saint's chest. They then locked the reliquary tightly and posted guards so that no one would dare intervene. In the days that followed, the Orthodox prayed fervently, begging Saint Euphemia to reveal God's truth. When the waiting period had ended, both the Monophysites and the Orthodox exceedingly gathered in the church to see what would happen. The saint's reliquary was unlocked and opened with great anticipation. Then they all beheld an amazing sight. Although no one had touched the reliquary while it was locked, the book of the Monophysites could now be seen under the saint's feet, while the book of the Orthodox was now tightly in the martyr's arms. This great miracle strengthened the Orthodox in their faith, and though God's decision was plain for all to see, the unrepentant heretics still refused to admit their error. The miraculous relics of the saint remained in Chalcedon for many years. Later, shortly before the fall of Constantinople, the holy relics of Saint Euphemia were transferred there to the Patriarchal Church, where they remain to this day, comforting and supporting the Orthodox Christians in their faith. The many saints of our